our playoffs in the Western Conference from the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. Number 2 in the NBA in attendance. And tonight, meeting for the first time in postseason action, the Utah Jazz and the San Antonio Spurs. Like two heavyweights preparing for the championship bout. Both teams in their respective locker rooms inside their own thoughts. Karl Malone of the Utah Jazz. And on the other side of the dome, it is Dale Ellis of the San Antonio Spurs. 82 games have been played, but that is all history. It's do or die for one of these two teams beginning tonight. Hello again, everybody. I'm Ron Thulin. Now, these two teams took very different paths to the playoffs this year. First of all, the San Antonio Spurs, they struggled the final month of the season. They won only 4 of their last 11 ball games. On the other side, the Utah Jazz, they won 5 straight over San Antonio. They won 9 of their last 11 games, including 4-0 to complete the season. My broadcast partner this evening, as they're chanting MVP here in the Alamo Dome, Dick Versace. Dick, how did Utah win 5 straight games from San Antonio?
Well, Ron, it's really, there's some extenuating circumstances when you look at that 5-0 record that Utah had against San Antonio. A couple of the games were back-to-backs where one team was resting and the other was traveling. And the third one was kind of an aberration as well, because San Antonio just lost to their turf rival Houston when Vernon Maxwell put a dagger in with 1 second left. It took them more than 48 hours to recover from that.
And the numbers showed that up. Now, the keys for tonight's ball game, John Lucas has to be concerned with the matchups, and you don't want to be real content if you're Jerry Sloan's Utah Jazz.
No, Jerry Sloan really has nothing to say to his team. His team beat this team 5 straight times. Now, here's the thing. You've got Karl Malone, and he is the guy that is going to be matched up with David Robinson. This is not something that Utah did last year. It's something that they found, it works, and John Lucas has to come up with an answer.
Well, earlier this evening, they presented David Robinson of the San Antonio Spurs with the IBM Award. Here's Stan Kelly, the PA announcer.
Offensive and defensive statistics. Congratulations, David, and thank you, Larry Keener and the IBM Corporation.
The Tower of the Americas and the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, where inside over 20,000 have come to see Game 1 of the best-of-5 series between the San Antonio Spurs and the Utah Jazz. Let's take a look at tonight's Chrysler Plymouth starting matchups.
All right, what I think is going to happen is, and I know this is going to happen, this man here will guard this man, but now we're going to have a crossover. Rodman will guard Spencer. Corbin on Ellis. The 2 guards will match up, and the point guards will match up. The big advantage is right here. He has dominated this series. He has caused the Jazz to be able to win 5 straight games during the regular season.
And we'll keep an eye on all those matchups this evening, especially in the backcourt with Hornacek, Anderson, Stockton, and Del Negro. As we mentioned, first playoff meeting between these two teams. And as you see, the Jazz have the all-time playoff record, 35-44. The Spurs, a losing record at 32-48. As the lights begin to come back up here in the Alamo Dome, the San Antonio Spurs are 5-8 when they've won the opening game of a series. However, they have never won a playoff series in which they have lost an opening game. And as mentioned, they have lost 7 consecutive, if you go back to last year, to the Utah Jazz. And the Utah Jazz have done it with a combination of savvy outside shooting and mainly playing a lot more intense coming down the stretch of this ballgame. And that concerns John Lucas. He needs that final 6 minutes for his team to play well.
Well, John told us at the shoot-around that he really needs the rest of the cast to step up. He needs some scoring from someplace else. He's got 3 guys that are hurt. Dale Ellis is hurt, J.R. Reed is hurt, and Willie Anderson is hurt. None of them are hurt bad enough not to play, but they won't be full tilt.
As you saw, our officials Daryl Garrison, Don Vaden, and Ronnie Nunn. Ronnie Nunn will be tossing the ball up. Of course, Daryl Garrison in his final year of officiating in the NBA. Robinson and Felton Spencer, and actually Felton Spencer has given the Spurs fits this season. Coming over, of course, from Minnesota in that trade for Mike Brown. Spurs want to take control of this game early, right from the beginning. Anderson being guarded by Corbin. That's a good sign if you're John Lucas.
Well, if Luke wants somebody to step up, Willie Anderson's certainly capable. But now the Spurs must deal with the execution of Utah.
Malone, his first two. They want to keep Karl Malone off the free throw line.
You know, Ronnie, the Utah Jazz remind me of the old Vince Lombardi Green Bay Packers. They tell you exactly what's coming, only you can't stop it.
Well, the guards have 4 points already for the San Antonio Spurs, and Willie Anderson told me before the game in the 5 meetings, they always just kept trying to pound the ball into David Robinson. They said, we didn't help David out with our outside shot. And that's something he felt they needed to do tonight. Hornacek coming over, of course, from the Philadelphia 76ers. Shot clock at 4. Anderson with the steal. Should take this in for the easy 2, and he does. Anderson, who has come up big in playoffs past. Remember back about 3 or 4 years ago. He enjoys the playoff intensity. John Stockton, the leader in the NBA in assists again this year. Corbin tipped it right into the hands of Anderson. He has Ellis on the right. To the hole.
Yeah, Jerry Sloan better get a timeout and talk about it. Too much adrenaline right now by San Antonio. They're all fired up.
Now the Spurs are 4 for 4 as Jerry Sloan does call a timeout, a 20-second timeout. But when it comes down to it, when the emotion leaves, you have to execute. And if Jerry Sloan obviously can withstand this emotion, it'll come down to execution. Here's the steal.
John Stockton went to save the ball. As he got up in the air, when he got up in the air, there was a step in by Willie Anderson. Karl Malone was kind of casual. Now everybody just lets Anderson go. Now Anderson again gets another steal. This is too easy. Timeout. Sloan wants to talk about it.
Utah only turned the ball over 14 times a game in the regular season. That was number 2 in the NBA. Spencer has it slapped away. Rodman with a great save, and Ellis with a good save. Here comes Anderson all the way to the hole, unmolested. Willie Anderson was 6.
Well, I was talking before about the fact that Utah shouldn't come out and get a big lead. They don't have anything to worry about.
Whistle and a foul. That'll be on Willie Anderson. Spurs 5 for 5 from the outside.
See, Ron, when you got a team that has defeated another team 5 straight times, there's nothing that the coach can say in the locker room to convince them that they ought to be concerned. And that's exactly how Utah is playing.
Corbin looking inside of Malone, being fronted by Rodman, who's holding on to Malone's jersey and just takes it away after a bad pass. The 3rd Utah turnover already. Robinson with Spencer on him. Malone didn't come over. Whistle and a foul on Felton Spencer. David Robinson, something you don't see early in a game, is a show of emotion.
Now watch Dennis Rodman doing the front on Karl Malone. Then he steps around as the ball is being pressured. That's excellent defense. Makes the pass difficult to get inside. Makes the passer lose vision on the post-up player. Really never should have thrown that ball in there.
Well, David Robinson has made the most and attempted the most free throws this year. Of course, led the NBA in scoring, won it with the 71-point effort the final day of the regular season. Well, right now, Spurs perfect. 5 of 5, 2 of 2.
David Robinson has the whole package, and now he's got that little space maker move that he uses on the baseline, where he steps away from the defender and gets a clean look.
Malone has taken a lot more outside jump shots, and he's going to the line as David Robinson whistled for his first. He fouled out in the last meeting between these two teams. At the line, it'll be Karl Malone.
Jerry Sloan was telling me that they really haven't been able to score inside, and they count so much on their perimeter shooting. And with Jeff Hornacek and John Stockton and then moving Karl Malone outside to beef up the perimeter shooting. That's how they've been able to score against San Antonio.
Talk about being big in the playoffs and also being consistent. He has missed only 4 games in his entire career. And that career spans over 700 games, 738 games, only missing 4. He has put up consistent numbers every year. And he's played a lot of minutes this year, second only to Latrell Sprewell in minutes. Spurs by 8. We've played, just over 3 minutes. Spencer cuts it off. Rodman fighting for it. Comes down Malone to Stockton. To Malone trailing. That is what he does so well, is come right down the chute.
And you have to love how John Stockton senses where his old teammate is, the guy that he's been with for so long. He knows exactly when he's coming. He knows the speed he's coming. He knows how to deliver the ball. He doesn't even need to look, and he didn't look that time.
Malone 5th in scoring, 8th in rebound, 7th consecutive year over 2,000 points. We've had our first upset, folks. And Orlando leading Indiana. That is going on TNT. If you want to switch the old dial, or if you're like my wife, have the picture in the picture, you can watch both of them, by golly.
I would think you would have picture in picture in picture in picture.
I've got it all in my house.
You love it.
I love this time of the year. Spurs by 7. In case you're wondering, there have been a couple of teams that have come back from regular season sweeps. Stockton has Del Negro to beat. Jumped off the wrong foot. And Malone comes in with a forearm to the back of Vinny Del Negro. And Karl throws the ball to the fan who didn't like it.
And the fan throws the ball back to Ronnie Nunn, and Karl Malone gives a big smile to the fan.
Now, as you mentioned, they were the last 2 teams to accomplish that back in 1989. Cleveland swept Chicago in the regular season, only to be beaten by the Bulls in the playoffs. And Milwaukee over Atlanta likewise. Milwaukee had Terry Cummings, now with San Antonio. David Robinson, no foul call, but Rodman puts it up and in for 2. Now, this is a controversy that has spanned the whole year, that they feel that Karl Malone has gotten away with, as John Lucas calls it, murder, slapping David Robinson around.
See, and he's over there pleading his case with Ronnie Nunn, saying, hey, it's the tomahawk chop. That's what he gets away with.
Malone from the outside. More and more of Karl Malone's shots are coming from outside of 15 feet.
And you know, Karl Malone says, hey, look, I am going to do what I have to do. If the officials want to call that, let them call it.
He's got all 7 of their points. Rodman put a hand on Spencer. He'll be whistling for the loose ball foul. His first. Malone has all 7 of the points for the Jazz. Jazz took Monday off. Spurs, meanwhile, went to San Marcos, about 50 miles from here. Didn't come back till this morning. John Lucas said, I wanted to take no chances our guys going out. He also wanted to get them back with a little camaraderie. He felt they lost it after the 53rd game of the season.
Yeah, he said, there'll be no cars. We're all going in a bus. That forced everybody together. Only one person was absent for the first practice. Dennis Rodman was a no-show.
Malone now 3 of 3. The lead is cut down to 5. Anderson inside of Corbin. The wild shot won't go. Rodman had it, regains it. That should be a new 24. Never mind, it's a 3.
Well, in the 5 games that these 2 teams have played in the regular season, Bob Bass told me that Vinny Del Negro gets a lot of good looks against John Stockton. He got a very good look that time.
Malone's first miss. Lead back up to 8. Inside of 6.5 of the first. Along with Dick Versace, Ron Thulin, Ernie Johnson in our studios. And Karl Malone from the outside. Malone already with 11 first quarter points. And the Jazz have 11 first quarter points.
Ron, the problem that the San Antonio Spurs have with the matchup of Dennis Rodman on Karl Malone is that Rodman will not go out and challenge that jump shot because he's so tuned to going back to the boards.
David Robinson over Felton Spencer for his first field goal. Spurs by 8. as they must be the first team to have a home court advantage and be an underdog in the series. Hornacek from the outside, nothing but net. They're calling it a 3.
Well, that's exactly what Jerry Sloan said that he needed. He needed the perimeter shots to go down for them to win this series. Not just the game, not just the opener, the series.
Hornacek has now hit 9 of his last 11 three-point attempts. And that's the first points other than Malone. There's the slapping we talked about.
Double chop. He got him 2 times.
I heard quick over here. And if David Robinson puts the ball below his waist, Hornacek way off the mark on the 3. Malone to put back. But if David Robinson puts that ball below his waist, Malone's going after him. Timeout, 5:07 left in the first. Spurs by 5. All 5 starters have scored for the Spurs, and they lead it by 5.
Well, Ron, let's take a look at these chops. You see Karl Malone senses when Robinson brings the ball down. Hey, he got all leather on that one. Let's take a look at the second chop. Now, here's the chop from the other side. That's all leather, too, but that throwaway I don't know about. Oh, is he strong.
I remember my most vivid memory of Karl Malone is back in Dallas about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, on the SMU track. It's about 100 degrees outside, and Malone running sprints with Rolando Blackman in the summertime. He has an incredible work ethic. And you look at his numbers over his 9-year career, and they are spectacular. Very consistent player.
And I believe he's only missed 4 games in his career, and along with John Stockton. John Stockton's only missed 4. So in the combined 19 years that these 2 men, and I mean men with a capital M, 19 years they've missed 8 games between them. That's unbelievable, especially when you consider the level that they play at night after night after night.
Jay Humphries has come in for John Stockton. If you look at Malone, the 9th-year pro out of Louisiana Tech, the 13th pick overall back in '85. He holds the NBA playoff record for free throw attempts in 1/2. It's at 19, and tonight he's got 6. He's 5 of 6, 13 points. Spurs lead cut down to 3, the closest the Jazz have come since we tipped this one off. Ellis trying to work off a screen, and that is where his arch comes in play. He can't push off. Robinson inside, doesn't need to worry about it.
Well, he got single coverage. There was no help from the weak side. Jerry Sloan not very happy about it. That's a great point you made about Dale Ellis. He has trouble getting open, but once he's open, he says that the foot does not bother him, and he can still shoot the ball.
Miguel Knight off the Spurs bench. Humphries with the shot clock at 5. Now it's Hornacek. Stops. Let's go with the 19 off the front of the iron.
That's a tough shot.
Good defense by San Antonio. They are number 4 in opponent's field goal percentage this year. Ellis wide open underneath. Just got away from Jeff Hornacek.
And that's why John Lucas calls David Robinson his point center. Not only leads him in scoring, second in rebounding, but he is first in assists. 4.8 assists, more assists than any center in the league.
Malone wide open. Rodman takes it away from Corbin. His second rebound only in this ballgame. Anderson pulled the trigger quickly into the hands of Humphries. Utah set a franchise record this year for most road wins. Ended up at 20-21. Spurs were 32-9 here in the Dome. Hornacek nails his second 3 of the ball game. Shot 34% during the regular season. Lead down to 4. Spurs have only averaged 92 points against Utah this year, as opposed to 102 for Utah in their 5 meetings. Shot clock at 5. Malone lets Robinson go. He's going to be fouled on the play. You've got a choice of purple jerseys. Miguel Knight comes in. Del Negro sits down.
This is something that John Lucas was telling me that he might attempt. He said he might bring David Robinson inside more than he normally does against Karl Malone, hoping that he can get Robinson's quickness isolated against Malone's strength and use the quickness before the help can come from the weak side. That was a great example of it that time. David Robinson made an unbelievably quick move inside.
David in the playoffs, 24-13, 52%. He's the first center since Dave Cowens back in '78 to lead his team, and not only in scoring but also assists.
One of the reasons that he's able to lead the team in assists is because of the way the Spurs play. They use him at the high post on that right elbow mainly, and he's a great passer from up there.
Robinson on Malone. They wanted Rodman to take him. Humphries, baseline cut off. The wild shot goes up, and Jay drops it through. Humphries, 7.5 on the year's average, his first 2 of the night. Knight has played extremely well for San Antonio as of late. Came over in a trade with Phoenix. Only played 1 game with the Suns. From 19, Knight, nothing but net.
You got to watch out for Miguel Knight because he's a very streaky shooter, and he can get on a sustained streak, not only just for a single game, but for several games. He just hasn't been able to do it over the course of a season.
Hornacek catching, shooting. Rodman battling Corbin. Spencer. Blocked by David Robinson, and it turns into a 2-on-1. Knight and Anderson. The reverse won't go. We have a foul. What a block by David Robinson, the full extension of the 7'1" frame.
Well, this is what Jerry Sloan was worried about. He said we having a difficult time scoring inside, and that's why David Robinson, all leather. All right, let's take a look and see how David Robinson uses his speed from the post-up. Ball's on the wing. There's Robinson posted up inside right here. Now the ball's going to go inside. Now when it goes inside, hold it there. The help is going to come from the passer. But Robinson has such great speed. Go ahead and run it. He splits the double team right here and gets inside for an easy score.
David, 7 points, a couple of rebounds, 3 assists, and a block already this evening. He was number 3 in blocks in the NBA this year. That foul, by the way, was on Humphries. Terry Cummings has checked into the lineup.
You know, Ron, I thought that Terry Cummings or Antoine Carr or even Lloyd Daniels or some player on that San Antonio bench is going to play a key role in this series because you have Dale Ellis hurting, you have J.R. Reed hurting, and you have Willie Anderson hurting. Those 3 guys that are subpar, so someone's going to have to step up, maybe Antoine Carr even.
About 5.5 left in the 4th, and Orlando on TNT as the Pacers trail by 2 as Anderson hits both. Cummings comes in, and Tom Chambers, you might remember back in '82, '83, these 2 guys were the starting forwards for the San Diego Clippers, averaging about 41 points between the 2.
Long time ago, 11 years, right?
You got that. Malone can't get it to go. The lowest field goal percentage for Karl Malone since his rookie year. Cummings, the rebound, the putback, it goes.
Nice second effort. Terry Cummings right off the bench, made something good happen. Coaches love that, and these fans love it.
Up by 9, Spurs on a 6-0 run. We've got 1:20 left in the first. Glad you're with us tonight. 4 games on TBS and TNT. Inside, Malone, the easy 2.
Well, that's a play you're going to see a lot of. A little UCLA cut, a little shuffle cut off the high post. Ball goes to the wing, and then the player that cut comes and backpicks Karl Malone and then brings Malone down into a deep post-up. He was wide open that time.
Robinson, 17, doesn't get it. Rodman tried to keep it alive. Corbin did an effective job of blocking him out. Malone with 15 of the 23 Jazz points. Terry Cummings, who a lot of people felt might be the key in this game. Robinson running the court, missing the layup.
Oh, my. Now, how often will you see that? Wide open inside. David Robinson just flat out missed it.
We saw him do it here, miss a layup back on, I think it was March 31st. Right here in the dome, missed a wide open layup.
When was that, 1902?
Outside, Humphries, nothing but net.
See, I think a player like Jay Humphries is very valuable when you get to the playoffs because for the Utah Jazz, he is one of their premier one-on-one players. He can go create his own shot. You need that in a playoff situation.
10th year pro out of Colorado. Miguel Knight, the 2 won't go. San Antonio's got to be careful settling for the outside jump shots, but he did it with 2 seconds left. That's the end of the first quarter. Big quarter for Karl Malone. 15 of the 25 Jazz points. And at the end of one, the Spurs hold a 5-point advantage. Kicking off the Western Conference of the 94 playoffs from the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. First round game, best of 5, the Jazz and the Spurs. Karl Malone, little twist of the ankle on the last play.
Well, you know, you coach enough years and you look at enough guys fall and you know almost immediately whether it's a problem. I saw it and I knew it wouldn't be a problem. You can look at his face, you can see how when he hit, he just gave it a little twist. He's fine.
J.R. Reed comes in for David Robinson. Stockton back in. And also David Benoit in. Lloyd Daniels in for the Spurs. And he is on Jay Humphries. Daniels in his second year. Chambers on Reed. Giving David a little rest. Outside, Humphries. 2 years in a row, the same field goal percentage for Jay Humphries, and it's the lowest in his career. Spencer getting ready to check back in. Maybe a short rest for David Robinson.
Well, this is what they like to do with Sweepy Lloyd Daniels, getting right down inside at 6'8". He's got good post-up moves.
Fouls on Humphries.
He's got Jay Humphries on him. Jay Humphries got buried behind him. Not much he can do.
Well, Lloyd Daniels, Thursday at 3 a.m. His wife Kendra had a baby daughter, their second, Shayna. Congratulations to him. Jeff Hornacek's wife had a baby daughter on Monday. Abby, little Abby, back up in Salt Lake. Both mothers and daughters doing fine. Jeff Banky, one of our producers, had a baby boy the other day. These guys got to know they can't do this stuff during the playoffs. Of course, Jeff Hornacek said, well, Ron, when I thought about it, I was with Philadelphia. Outside, Chambers. Rodman with the rebound. That is number 5 already for Dennis. Cummings, the bank is open. Fill out that slip.
It's very obvious that John Lucas told Terry Cummings, come off the bench and express yourself. Don't worry about minutes. Don't worry about fouls. Just go out and make some things happen, and he's doing it.
Stockton has to kick it back out to Benoit. Chambers with 9 on the shot clock. Doesn't get it. Rebound control by Cummings. He's having a big first half already. Nice slowing things up. David Robinson will come back into the lineup. Cummings again on Chambers. Won't go, but we have a whistle and a foul.
Well, Tom Chambers is at that point in his career, Ron Poulin, where he is going to be taken off the dribble. And that was the problem that Phoenix saw when he played for them last year in the playoffs. Everybody got the ball, took Tom Chambers off the dribble. No different tonight. Terry Cummings, as soon as he caught it, put his head down, didn't even fake, drove right by Tom Chambers. Now, Tom Chambers has played well in the 5 games these two teams have played, averaged over 10 points. Not bad for a guy at this stage in his career.
2.5 minutes left in that Orlando game, which is being shown on TNT. We'll keep you posted. Terry Cummings, a career 21-point score, 49% from the outside. He has 6 points tonight to go along with 3 rebounds.
Both teams shot well in the first quarter. Utah shot 50%, San Antonio 52%, but the big difference. Wow.
Cummings.
No call.
No call. Rejection. Cummings is feeling his oats tonight. Reed, count the basket.
That's the big difference I was talking about. San Antonio, 10 fast breaks. Utah 1.
David Benoit, they've got your number, Big 2-1. J.R. Reed with the rejection on the last play, his 26th of the year. The fans are standing. The lead is 11. Cummings. Oh, my. Shades of the past. Timeout, Utah. 20,000 are standing in the Alamo Dome. .25 our score, the biggest lead of the ball game for the Spurs.
Well, and this is the reason Terry Cummings 8 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block. And how about this, gang? In 4 minutes. Now watch this space maker now. Felt Spencer, little bump, move away, space maker. That's how I used to do it.
Terry Cummings, once a primetime scorer, tore his ACL and his ligament back in the 1992. Came back in 9 months. A tremendous work ethic by Terry Cummings, the 12th-year pro out of DePaul. Humphries on Daniels, gets a step on him inside with the right hand.
Well, there's that one-on-one ability of Jay Humphries. He's got the 6'8" Daniels. He got a classic situation where Daniels tries to post up Humphries, and now Humphries tries to take Daniels one-on-one.
And it's Rodman getting some rest, something you don't see in San Antonio's lineup. It's hard getting him out of the off the floor. That's a 3 by Lloyd Sweet Pea Daniels. 35% on the year, hits his first this evening. 14-point San Antonio advantage. But as we mentioned, San Antonio gets outscored in the 4th quarter by the Utah Jazz handily. They lose their concentration. That's a walking call on David Benwell.
What's going to happen now, Ron, is the man, John Stockton, who's been ice cold, is going to have to step up and assert himself. He has scored well in the 5 games they played in the regular season. 4 points above his season average. We're not seeing that tonight.
Jerry Sloan talked to us today about in the playoffs, you always have that one person that plays above their expectations in the playoffs. So far, it's Terry Cummings.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's Terry Cummings. And on his own ball club, he's not getting the dependable output from John Stockton. He is getting it from Karl Malone, who had a huge first quarter.
Malone with 15 first quarter points, has not scored here in the second. We played 4 minutes. Cummings on Malone. It's going to be off the mark. Robinson battling Spencer. Spencer stepped out. San Antonio has it. Last trip down the court. Here's Terry Cummings again.
Well, Ron, you talked about it. Terry Cummings is pumped. Look at the little pump fake, little duck under. Oh, that is sweet.
Played only 8 games last year. This year, Terry Cummings has checked in on 59 games, starting 29 of those. Averaged 7.3 points, and tonight he has 10. Spurs are 17-6, or 17-6 runs since Terry Cummings has come in. Reed, the reverse, won't go. Guess who's got the rebound of the putback? DC.
He's playing inspired basketball.
First round pick back in '82, the number 2 pick overall by San Diego, where he spent a couple of years. 5 years in Milwaukee, his 5th year in San Antonio. Spencer, Robinson guarding him. Doesn't buy the fake. The double team by Reed. Chambers can't get the slam. Karl Malone picks up the foul, his first. This is an inspired San Antonio team, the most emotion I have seen from this team in the 4 games I've had them this year. Orlando by 2, still in the 4th.
Now watch J.R. Reed make a reverse down the baseline. Can't quite get it in, but out of nowhere, Terry Cummings doing everything for the San Antonio Spurs. An inspired Terry Cummings.
Spurs bench outscoring Utah's 19-6. Daniels, the off-balance shot. Spencer with the rebound. We saw San Antonio's bench on the 19th outscore Houston 40-6. They do have some guys that can put the rock in the hole. Lead is 18, 6:40 left in the half. San Antonio on top. Hornacek, Lloyd Daniels uses a little AT&T defense, reaches out and touches it.
See, the problem for Utah is when they get down in a game, they depend so much on their half-court execution. They are going to have a tough time digging out of this hole.
Now, Dick, Utah has scored only 2 points in this quarter, 5.5 minutes. They are 1 of 8. They find themselves down by 18. And one of the reasons, John Stockton really not involved in this offense.
Well, might there be some design to the Stockton being out of the offense? Watch Nigel Knight just shadow John Stockton. See John Stockton saying, hey, I can't get the ball. I got to work for it. Almost back to the ball defense by Nigel Knight. That's why John Stockton is 0 for 2 from the floor, 0 points and only 2 assists at this point in the ball game.
In their 5 games this year, John averaged 18 points, 12 assists, and had only 2 turnovers in 5 ball games. Only 3 Jazz have scored. 3 of the 7 who have played. Chambers inside, off the hands of Spencer. Miguel Knight's got Reed trailing. The reverse won't go. Whistle. Daryl Garrison says we have a foul.
See, what's happening now is Utah is pressing. Stockton is being shadowed by Miguel Knight or whoever is guarding him. They're trying to keep him from running the offense. The execution of the plays is sloppy now. Some of the shot selection is not as good as that man Jerry Sloan would like, and so he's just going to have to try to get his ball club back into the ball game by doing what they do best. But they cannot allow the easy baskets once they lose possession.
Well, tomorrow we've got another foursome, another multiplex with our multiplex maven Ernie Johnson. It'll be the Nets and the Knicks, the Cavs and the Bulls, Blazers and the Rockets, Warriors versus the Suns. Have those batteries ready in that remote. Stockton had to give it up. No place to go as Spencer fell down. Here comes Knight. Shaking and baking around Malone. There's Cummings. Doesn't get the jam. Only his 2nd miss of the game for Terry Cummings. Nice pass. Stockton to Malone. Bad foul from Miguel Knight.
That's a bad choice by Miguel Knight. Even if he would have gotten there, there wasn't much he could do. When you've got Karl Malone underneath the basket and you got to make up 10 feet, let him make the basket. Now you see Stockton bringing it down, throws the pass off the dribble. Nobody matched up with Karl Malone. John's trying to get himself pumped up and trying to get his team pumped up.
Well, Terry Cummings gets a round of applause as he's going to get a breather. Malone, that was his first field goal of the 2nd quarter. We played 6 minutes and 2 seconds.
See, when Dennis Rodman is in the game, you can double team off of him. You don't have to worry too much about him scoring. But when Terry Cummings is in the game, you have to play him.
We are in the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas, with 5:55 left in the 2nd. Along with Dick Versace, I'm Ron Thula, with the San Antonio Spurs have a 16-point advantage. Their biggest lead was 18. Keep you posted on the other game going on TNT. Robinson, shot clock at 5. Knight's going to have to pull it from 18. Buries it.
What a nice job David Robinson did. They ran a cross screen for him. He came to the top, and then the back pick was set on the wing. Miguel Knight stepped out and was wide open for the jumper.
Robinson now with 5 assists in the ball game. He's averaging just a shade under 5 for the season. Miguel Knight had to reach over the back of Stockton. They're going to give the foul on Knight. He thought he hit it off Stockton's leg.
Well, he did, but he got a little piece of John in the process, and he's pumped up. He just made a basket at the other end. He's trying to make a great defensive play here. See, he gets caught behind him. He's over the shoulder. That's a foul. Hey, but when you got things cooking, you want everything to go your way.
Well, that's only the 3rd team foul on the Spurs. They're shooting 56% of this ball game. Utah only 41%.
Around, they're getting a lot of easy baskets.
Well, you know, that's exactly what John Lucas talked to you and I about today, Dick, says he wanted the cheap baskets, he called them.
Yep.
Malone from the outside. He has been the real offensive force. 7 for 11 from the outside. 20 points already for Karl Malone. Only 2 other players have scored, Hornacek and Humphries. Rodman tried to set a pick to get Malone out of the way. One-on-one, Stockton comes over for some help. Here's Reed, shot clock at 2. Slapped away with 1 on the shot clock. San Antonio has the ball as Del Negro comes in. Miguel Knight has done a nice job. He'll sit down with 4 points this evening. 1 second on the shot clock. Rodman for 3. Almost had it.
Looked pretty good.
Looked good from our place. Stockton right around Del Negro. Count the basket. That looked like it was on the dribble.
See, if you think John Stockton's going to mail this win in to San Antonio, you better think twice. He is going to continue to put pressure on your defense by making you pick him up. See, Del Negro cannot stay with him. That is why he's played so well in the 5 games during the regular season. A dominant difference between these 2 teams. Not so tonight.
Well, he didn't dribble the ball again after he was hit. And John has his third point of the game. He's averaging 15.1 as Utah now on an 8-2 run, cutting that 18-point margin down to 13 by the Spurs. Del Negro wants to take John Stockton down low because of the height advantage. Working his way down there. Shot clock at 7. Whistle. Offensive foul. Vinny Del Negro.
Pretty good play by John Stockton. He tried to guess which way Del Negro was going to go. He figured, hey, he's got me so that I'm going to give him the middle, then I'll come back and take it away and try to pick up the charge. Did a nice job.
And we've got a technical foul called. I believe it's on Dennis Rodman. Well, Dennis Rodman, pleading the case of Vinny Del Negro, picks up the tee at the 4:13 mark of the second. Jeff Hornacek gets the tee.
All right, here's another look at it. There's no question Vinny dropped the shoulder. John anticipated that he was going to the middle. Pretty legit call, Dennis.
I agree. Well, he led the league in technicals this year, had one more.
And he's still arguing the case.
Malone from the outside. Well, Malone already with 22 points in the ballgame. San Antonio wants a timeout. They led by as many as 18, but they've only scored 2 points since then, and the lead is down to 10.
Well, you're not seeing the same kind of defensive pressure by the San Antonio Spurs. Now watch Dennis Rodman. Here's his man, Karl Malone. He's still upset about the foul. See, he's complaining about the foul call. Hey, Dennis, you're supposed to guard that guy right there. Now, J.R. Reed runs at him, but that's not the man assigned to guard him.
Oh, the Utah Jazz started this quarter 1 of 8, but they've hit their last 4 shots in the last minute and 56. They're on an 11-2 run in 152. Down by 10 inside of 4 minutes of the second quarter. Inside, Robinson on Malone. Malone giving him no room. David keeps the ball above his head. Rodman, the putback, no go. Robinson kept it alive. Spencer. Fans wanted to travel. Never had possession, folks. Stockton, baseline cut off by Del Negro. Hornacek. Robinson lets him go by, and Jeff Hornacek with his 8th point and 9th point of the evening. Out of Iowa State, he cuts the lead down to 8. Now you can feel the emotion has left the San Antonio Spurs. They need to have some big play that gets that emotion going again.
Well, what's happened is it's come since Rodman has been back in the game. Dennis always is operating on his own agenda. If you want to be successful deep into the playoffs, you have to have a collective agenda.
Spencer puts an elbow into David Robinson, turns around and gets the 2. So Felton Spencer helps the Jazz have hit their last 6 shots on a 15-2 run. Spencer had 22 points the last meeting between these two teams. Cummings up off the Spurs bench. He gave that emotional outburst in the first and second. J.R. Reed and Tom Chambers playing a little touch and go on the far side. Well, we've got a timeout. 2:23 left to be played in the second. Well, we don't have a timeout. Nope, we don't have a timeout. 48-42 is our score. 2:22 left in the first. Let's go to Atlanta and our host, Ernie Johnson.
All right, thank you, Ron. What are we, about 3.5, almost 4 hours into the playoffs of 1994? How many surprises? 2 out of 2. Not only did Miami beat Atlanta in the Omni, the Indiana Pacers went down to the O-Arena and knocked off the Orlando Magic in a thriller, and it came late in the game. Byron Scott, the old reliable. Here's a guy who started the season without a team, hitting a huge 3, erasing an 88-86 Orlando lead. The Pacers win it 89-88 to take a 1-0 lead in that series. Back to Ron Thulin and Dick Versace.
A big win for Larry Brown and the Indiana Pacers. We just had a goaltending call, so give Vinny Del Negro another 2. Jerry Sloan, one of the greats of the Chicago Bulls, one of 2 players to have his jersey retired in Chicago. Here's the goaltend, pinned it up against the board.
And That was all triggered by a steal by Terry Cummings, who just came off the bench.
Chambers left alone. This is from the arc. Spencer rejected by Robinson. Cummings with the rebound. Talk about the infusion of emotion. There it is right there, wearing jersey 34. Robinson, the turnaround. David has 9, the lead back up to 10.
Well, he's so much more effective when he uses his quickness to get his shot, to maybe use a space maker. But when he starts a wrestling match with Karl Malone, that's not a battle he can win.
Anderson, another steal. To Del Negro, to the hole. Uses the body. At the basket. Oh, my goodness. That's on a highlight reel. That'll send Vinny Del Negro to the line, and Miguel Knight comes in. Willie Anderson will sit down again.
Well, that's some kind of move. He changed hands from the right hand to the left hand, got it up off the glass, turns his back, almost does a 360 here, gets a hard hit, and still gets it down. Some kind of move by Vinny Del Negro.
And he completes the three-point play. 10 points on 4 of 5 shooting, only 1 turnover for Vinny this evening. Spurs on a 7-0 run after the Jazz got within 6. Chambers was moving forward as he shot that. He is 0 for 5. Del Negro to Cummings. Left wide open. Doesn't get it.
Well, what's interesting about Tom Chambers, Ron, he's had very good looks at the basket.
Hornacek for 3. Cummings a rebound. Ernie Johnson will have our Reebok halftime report coming up. Of course, Isaiah Thomas, one of the greats in the game from the Detroit Pistons, has scores and highlights from the playoff action this evening. And Ernie is being paid by the word this evening, by the way. Miguel Knight to Robinson with 4 on the shot clock. Knight. Rodman, the rebound. Loose ball foul. Felton Spencer. His 3rd. Jerry Sloan doesn't like it. Your big man has 3. He's going to have to go to his bench. But it's Jay Humphries coming in. Or he'll come in. Rodman will come to the line. Here comes Humphries in. Felton Spencer sits down, so Chambers will probably slide over to the forward position or the center position.
Well, you want to get all your three-point shooting in. You're going to have 1 possession, 1 shot left. Maybe you can get an emotional lift. If you're Jerry Sloan, you'd like to get some kind of an emotional lift to end the half to try to quiet down this Spur team. They've been inspired by Terry Cummings' play.
Rodman, the first 3 straight rebounding title award winner since Moses Malone did it 5 times in 80 and 85. Look at the rebounds on Dennis in the playoffs. 8.2, but once again, that was with Detroit.
I was there for a lot of those rebounds. I tell you what, he was an inspirational player. Now, how about this move?
He was going to hit it off the rim, and he missed. He missed the backboard. Dennis.
You know,
John Lucas is looking at him like, why didn't you just get the point?
Well, that hair makes him look like he's from another planet, and that move and that decision.
Look at this.
And then Lucas out there saying, hey, well, you know, that was an extraterrestrial move. Come on.
Use your head.
That's it. Dennis is on his own agenda here. I don't know what he had in mind here. I think he thought he was going to like hit the rim, get the ball back, and dunk it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. In your dreams. John didn't like it.
Shoot the free throw.
Get the point. You're up by 13 with 8.7 left. Now you have a chance for them to cut it down to 10 or more. Rodman didn't look up. Hit him in the back of the head. Cummings with the save. Final seconds. Rodman doesn't get it. Hornacek will run out the clock. But what a first half for Terry Cummings and the San Antonio Spurs. 12 points, only missed 3 shots, 7 rebounds, even had a block thrown in. We'll go to intermission. The Spurs leading by 13. Ernie's back with the Reebok halftime report.
The Reebok Halftime Report is brought to you by Reebok, to remind you that on Planet Reebok, there are no rules.
All right, the San Antonio Spurs are trying to turn things around. They were 0-5 against the Utah Jazz during the regular season. They lead at 55-42 at the break. Ernie Johnson, Isaiah Thomas here with the Reebok halftime report. Karl Malone got out of the gate quickly for Utah. He scored 15 points in the first quarter, but San Antonio is playing like a better team than they showed in April.
Well, San Antonio, what they're doing now, I think they've kicked it up a notch, and I think Utah came in figuring that they would want to play the same way they played during the regular season. San Antonio has come out with more intensity, more energy. Consequently, they're scoring more points in transition, and they're a lot more scrappier than Utah is right now. Utah has to go to the next level.
It's a baker's dozen, the lead for San Antonio over Utah. Earlier tonight on TBS, man, you talk about a shocker. You start the playoffs with an upset right off the bat. Here are the Atlanta Hawks, who fought so hard to get that home court in the Eastern Conference all the way through the playoffs, and now they've lost it. They lose serve in the first game against the Miami Heat. Stunning to you?
Well, yeah, it's very stunning because, here's a team that, dominated during the regular season. However, they don't have playoff experience together. Now, when it came down to who was going to take shots, who was going to score, they seemed to be indecisive about who was going to take shots in the end. They went to Kevin Willis.
That was with 1:19 left, and they're down by 1.
Yeah, but they seem to have trouble finding a go-to guy when that guy usually in the playoff has been Dominique.
It wasn't going to be Danny Manning. They benched him.
Yeah, he didn't play much the fourth quarter, and, if you're going to make a trade like that, you got to ride with the guy. If that's going to be the future of your franchise, then you got to ride with him.
Glenn Rice had the big bucket late to ice that thing. 93-88, the Miami Heat take a 1-0 lead over the Atlanta Hawks. It was a slow start for Miami. Steve Smith, who led him with 22, talked to Doug Collins.
Well, we were very, very tight. I think just being in the playoffs, you can see it in everybody's face and everybody's body motion. We were just real tight. And then Coach Locker yelled at us and said, it's just fun. It's a fun game. You should be happy to be here and just play with a lot of emotion and have fun.
What's the thought process now from Miami?
I think the thought process is for us to come in tomorrow and really put a lot of pressure, Saturday, and really go after those guys and see if the pressure turns on their way and they're a little tight.
Well, I tell you what, John Sally, a former teammate of yours with Detroit, has come up big in the last month, especially when Ronnie Cycli was hurting.
Well, Sally's a guy who always comes up big in pressure situations. Whenever he was in Detroit, he would drift in and out of the regular season. But come playoff time, Sal showed up big, and he came up big tonight. I think he's going to have a strong influence in terms of them handling how do you win a game one and then not get overconfident and come back and prepare and have the mental toughness to go in and win in game two. Sally played a big role in keeping their mental psyche together.
Yeah, there's no overstating the importance of having been there in the playoffs. John Sally can speak to that. So can Byron Scott, and he delivered tonight for the Indiana Pacers. The story from Orlando when the Reebok halftime report continues. Welcome back to Atlanta and the Reebok halftime report, opening night of the NBA playoffs. This is Isaiah Thomas. I'm Ernie Johnson. We've watched a couple of games finish and 2 surprises. We told you about Atlanta and Miami, and now this Orlando thing. Here they are at home. They're looking strong, and Indiana never gives up, comes back and beats them. Your thoughts?
Well, what you have is a classic example of a young, inexperienced team. It's their first time in the playoffs. Indiana's been in the playoffs the last 5-6 years. Orlando gets out to an early start. They're passing the ball. Everybody's feeling good.
The place is rocking.
Yeah, everything's going really good. The fans are like, hey, this game's over. But you have Indiana and Larry Brown, who's been in tough playoff situations before. They keep pecking away, keep pecking away, keep pecking away, and eventually they end up winning the game with Byron Scott hitting a 3.
The highlights from the O-Arena, and we will show you the dominance of the Magic early on, especially Shaquille O'Neal, who was doing pretty much all he wanted in the first half. Look at him wide open from Penny Hardaway and everybody. They're free and easy, man. They're up big. It's 51-36. Third period now, and there's Penny. There's Shaq. Still up by double digits, 70-58. But here comes Indiana. Antonio Davis, this guy is a beast. He will back down against no one. 76-76. Inside a minute. Who do you go to here? You think maybe Reggie Miller? Yeah, I think so. Freshly shaven for the occasion and the whole thing, and Reggie knocks it down. Now it's an 88-86 game, and Byron Scott with 2 ticks left. 89-88 Pacers. Orlando would have one more shot. And Nick Anderson, Zeke, he had a good look at this thing.
Yeah, he had a good look, but anytime there's 2 seconds to go, that's a tough shot to make. It's a very tough shot to
Takes a special guy to hit those. I think you've hit a few of them in your life. 89, 88, the Pacers over the Magic as another road team wins. And here it's early. Denver and Seattle. Look at this. Number 8 leading number 1 by 6. But as we say, they have just tipped it off. They are in the first period. We'll be back with more on the Reebok Halftime Report after this. And welcome back to opening night of the NBA playoffs. Ernie Johnson and Isaiah Thomas. What do you look for here as we head to the third quarter with Utah and San Antonio? The Jazz dominating the regular season. San Antonio shows a renewed fire in this series.
Well, I think what has happened is, we alluded to earlier in the broadcast is that Jeff Hornacek said that he thought the pressure was on San Antonio. But now that he's involved, he understands now that the pressure is on Utah. Because Karl Malone, John Stockton, those guys still got to get out of the first round, and they have yet to do that over the last couple of years. And I think they're starting to feel the pressure. And if San Antonio keeps playing hard, keep playing aggressive, they'll win this series.
We are 4 games deep into the NBA playoffs. 4 series starting tonight, 4 more start tomorrow. You're going to see them all either on TNT or TBS. Let's take a look at the Friday night schedule. On TBS, you're going to have New Jersey and New York. Man, I would pay to see that thing, followed by Portland and Houston in the Western Conference. On TNT tomorrow night, your 8 o'clock tip is the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Chicago Bulls. Cleveland, remember, lost John Hot Rod Williams today with ligament damage in his thumb. Poor Mike Fratello. Poor Cavs. They also have a history against the Bulls, who have knocked them out time and time again. They'll follow that up with the Warriors and the Suns tomorrow night on TNT. It's the Spurs by 13.
The Reebok Halftime Report has been brought to you by Reebok, who reminds you that on Planet Reebok, there are no limits.
We are in the Alamo Dome for Game 1 of the Spurs and the Jazz. The Jazz have never led. The Spurs have led by as many as 19, along with Dick Versace. I'm Ron Thulin. And you think about San Antonio shooting 51% or Utah shooting 51% to San Antonio's 44 in the 5 previous meetings. A complete opposite, mainly because of tempo tonight. San Antonio has gained control of that.
Well, tempo created a lot of points for San Antonio. 22 points off the bench, number 1, and then they had 18 points from the fast break points to only 7 for Utah. I mean, that's a major difference.
Well, the shooting percentages, Dick, flip-flop from the 5 games during the regular season. And the bench points, that's a big one, 22-6. And the steals and fast breaks.
Well, Willie Anderson creates one of those fast break points. I mean, it was very dramatic that this team is pumped up. The San Antonio Spurs are feeding off the adrenaline that is provided by their coach, John Lucas, and, of course, this big crowd of 20,000 people. But Karl Malone kept his team in the game. This time, Dennis Rodman fails to match up with his man defensively. But the inspiration for San Antonio came from Terry Cummings, who came out of the past and brought some of that greatness with him. Tonight's marquee, guys, you look at this and you say, well, who's winning this ball game?
Exactly.
And you'd be surprised it's the San Antonio Spurs that are dominating when their big man, David Robinson, who received an award at the beginning of this game, Ron, for scoring 71 points in the game, only has 9 points in the first half.
Well, John Lucas really feels that David Robinson can't carry them to any type of a title. He says we need him, but we need everybody else to step up, and that has been the case tonight.
When he made that point to us in the shoot-around, did you believe him?
No, not a bit.
I'm not sure I did either. I thought he was going to ask David to get 50 tonight anyway.
Yeah, really. Well, we have started the second half. Stockton tries to get it inside to Spencer. Last touch by Big Felton will go the other way with it.
See, that's a little discouraging for John Stockton. He made a great penetration. He got himself clear into the paint. Little drop-off pass to Felton Spencer, who couldn't handle it. 11th
turnover for Utah. This is a team that turned over only 14 times a game, second best in the league during the regular season. The point guards for San Antonio have only turned it over once between them. Anderson pulling the trigger, picking up where he left off.
Well, there's been no pressure put on those point guards. Benny Del Negro is not a point guard that can take pressure, and Ron, neither is Miguel Knight. But they've been able to walk the ball up the court most of the night when they're not fast breaking.
Inside of Malone, Rodman on him, gets a hand in his face. Robinson had the rebound. Felton Spencer knocked it out. Over 20,000 have come to the Alamo Dome in San Antonio for Game 1 between the Spurs and the Jazz. Along with Dick Versace, I'm Ron Thulin. 10:55 left to be played in the third. The Spurs by 15, led by as many as 19. I think what's interesting, too, is David Robinson had 5 assists in that first half. John Stockton had 5 assists in that first half. Stockton gets his 6th. No. Rodman swats it away. Fresh 24. Here's Hornacek. Karl Malone, 22 first half points. Give him 24. His average is 25. He's only missed 6 of 15 shots. Del Negro swatted away by Stockton. Then he gets it right back. Then he gives it back to Stockton. Then they give it back to the Spurs. Your turn, my turn.
Jerry Sloan likes to play the possession when you get the extra possession.
The basket goes, and we have a whistle.
See, you always have the problem you have to decide as a team. Do you want the opportunity or you want the possession? Jerry Sloan likes to play the possession. Now watch David Robinson, another one of those quick little moves inside. When he can get by you with his quickness, then he's very dangerous inside. Now you see coming in with the left hand from that side, that's an easy shot for him.
Robinson now 4 of 5 from the stripe. That foul, by the way, was on Felton Spencer. That is his 4th personal foul. Tom Chambers quickly up off the Utah bench, taking off the jacket. Here comes Stockton. Nice job cutting off the baseline. Corbin left over from 19. Rodman, rebound number 8. Rodman sets the pick. Ellis has been relatively quiet.
Well, you know, interestingly enough, the three guys that are hurt, Willie Anderson has probably contributed the most. Not much from J.R. Reed, not much from Dale Ellis.
Robinson the fall away. He has 5 already here in the second half. 14 for the ball game. The lead up to 18 with 9:20 left in the third. And Jerry Sloan doesn't want this to get away even more. Calling a timeout. 9:19 left in the third. The Spurs are in control. Spurs lead it by 18, 9:19 left to be played in the third. Now, Jerry Sloan had about 3 keys today he talked to you about, Dick, that they needed to do in order to win.
Well, he's not really getting any of them. The percentage shooting clearly isn't there. We're not into the fourth quarter yet. It'll be interesting to see how that evolves. But where is the step-up guy, Ron? You mentioned earlier the step-up guy was on the bench of the San Antonio Spurs. It was Terry Cummings. This is not a happy man right now. His team shooting 41%, and the Spurs shooting 52%, and that's kind of a reversal of how they played in the regular season.
San Antonio on their way to 100 points. They are 26-2 at home when they score better than the century mark. Stockton, only 3 points, 5 assists, and 2 turnovers for Stockton. David Benoit. And you look on the other hand, Vinny Del Negro, 10 points, 2 assists, and 2 turnovers. Spurs have got to be pleased with his performance this evening. Much better than the regular season.
Oh, and I think Miguel Knight has played well, too. As you pointed out, they're not turning the ball over, even though there's not a lot of pressure on them. But it makes for a nice, clean game. And the motion is triggering a lot of fast breaks and good defense. And there's Del Negro again. You know, Bob Bassett told me at the shoot-around, he said, even though Stockton's dominated us in the regular season, Del Negro's had a lot of good looks at the basket.
He's made 5 of 6 tonight. Rodman backs off Stockton. Covers up Malone again, almost tackles him. Rodman takes it away, or Robinson takes it away from Chambers. Anderson. gives it up. Last touch by the Jazz. San Antonio has it. Well, at the conclusion of tonight's game, we'll be selecting the Budweiser Player of the Game. Budweiser will donate $1,000 in his behalf to the United Negro College Fund. John Lucas going with the vest look tonight. A lot of time on the shot clock. Ellis the double pump. Rolls it around. It comes home. 7 for Dale Ellis. And the lead is 20. That is the biggest of the ball game for the Spurs. Utah does not look fluid offensively at all, Dick.
No, that execution that I was talking about, that Lombardi-esque execution. Whoa! The Admiral free in the lane.
Nice teamwork. 22-point advantage by the Spurs. Jerry Sloan wants a 20-second timeout. Listen to the 20,000 in the dome. Okay, Dick, little strategy now. You see your team. You know you've won 5 in a row off these guys. You're down by 22 points. An NBA game is a marathon. There is still a lot of time left. As we look at the last play, what's Jerry Sloan telling his team right now?
Well, right now, his team's not even getting back and matching up in defense. You see, there's Del Negro penetrating. No one even matches up with a guy that scored 71 points in his last regular season game. I think I try to know where he is on the floor at all times, even when he's running the floor. You've got to shadow him. Now, if you're Jerry Sloan, you're sitting over there and you're saying, I got to use my timeouts. I don't care if I use them up. I can't take them into the next game. I got to keep myself in this game, at least so I have an opportunity to close it down and maybe make a run in the fourth.
Jerry Sloan, 6 times all-defensive team in the NBA. So that is a real sore spot for him when his team doesn't play defense. Malone now with 26 points for the ball game. Willie Anderson was not looking at that pass by Vinny Del Negro. Jerry Sloan wanting him to spread it out. 7:05 left to be played in the third. Spurs by 20. Ellis takes it away. To the hole, doesn't get it. Whistle and a foul. But you can see that Dale Ellis didn't have any type of explosion as he was running. Benoit the foul. That's his first, only the second team foul.
See, here's what's been happening. Stockton is throwing a lot of bailout passes. Dale Ellis anticipated it, stepped into the passing lane, got himself free, gets fouled, and gets on a free throw line. But I had noticed it earlier, Ron, that John Stockton is doing a lot of penetrating, then jumping up into the air. And at that time, the Spurs are stepping into the passing lane and knocking off a lot of those bailout passes.
Here's a look at tonight's GMC Truck scoreboard. Of course, Atlanta upset by Miami. And Indiana got the final 2 seconds, upsets Orlando. Ellis gets them both. Set a franchise record for 3-pointers made this year, and the only player to make 1,000 threes in his career. Malone from the easy 17 goes about a hard 16. Humphries. David Benoit rolls it around. Benoit now with 4. You made an interesting point, Bill. The old adage, you don't jump up in the air unless you're going to shoot the ball.
Well, John Stockton is one of the few that has always been able to make, the dichotomy, the difference between when it's a good decision and when it isn't. He does it a lot, but I see Jeff Hornacek is doing it too. They're penetrating. The lane is being closed by San Antonio, and they're throwing the pass off of the jump, and that's a bailout pass.
Shot clock at 5. Anderson, no place to go. The bank is not open. Malone with the rebound. That is his 6th. Benoit into the paint. Hornacek stops, pops, doesn't get it. Rodman tips it away from Chambers. Rodman has 9 rebounds.
Jeff Hornacek is rushing his shot. He had plenty of time to measure that one. He kind of put it up way too quickly, and he's been doing it throughout the course of the game.
3 of 8 from the floor. Nice look inside of Willie Anderson. Can't complete it. Rodman tried to keep it alive. He wanted the ball, doesn't get it. Ball belongs to the Utah Jazz.
When there's a loose ball, the two guys I like in this league the best for chances of getting it are Mookie Blaylock from Atlanta and Dennis Rodman from San Antonio.
You're talking a truck. I don't think people realize how solid. They call him the worm, but he is very solid. Humphries from 3. Rodman tips it to himself. It is a 20-point lead. We are nearing the 5-minute mark of the third. The Spurs have lost 7 in a row to Utah dating back to last season. Del Negro swatted away. Big-time rejection. Benoit with the block to Malone. Karl Malone, his 6th point of the half. He has 28. Spurs led by 5 at the end of 1, 13 at intermission. Their biggest lead has been 22. Robinson. Anderson. Inside. Count the basket. We have another whistle. 12 for Willie Anderson.
Well, of the 3 injured players, Willie Anderson is the one stepping up the most for San Antonio. David Benoit just couldn't stay with that first step of Willie Anderson. He sure didn't look like he was being bothered at all by an injury on that particular play. That's a great first step.
Willie Anderson gets the free throw to go down. Robinson now with 7 assists already. His season high is 10. Hornacek, the off-balance shot. Here comes Willie Anderson. Tries to save it. Doesn't do it. Utah's got the ball. Here comes Terry Cummings. What a first half for Terry Cummings. 12 points for Cummings. Had a block. He had 7 rebounds, and he was an emotional lift as Dennis Rodman is going to take a seat. He didn't want to come out of the lineup.
Well, this is a lineup that got him going in the first half. Terry Cummings comes off the bench. Rodman goes out. Now there's nobody for Utah to double off of without them being a threat to score.
Chambers. Robinson, the rejection. His 3rd of the game. For 3. Benoit, no. Miguel Knight sees Robinson down court, has it knocked away. Fans wanted a foul and said the Spurs get the ball. Nice play, Karl Malone.
Well, Tommy Chambers has a nice little show and go, gets into the lane, but not with David Robinson, the Admiral, in there. He rejects the inside game of Utah.
Terry Cummings trying to keep the ball alive. Instead, we've got a loose ball foul. And I think it's going to be on, is it on Karl Malone? That body's going everywhere. Terry Cummings banging off people. It is on Karl Malone, his 2nd. Tom Chambers 0 for 6. This is a guy that once was considered one of the toughest covers in the NBA. He is struggling tonight.
Well, you know, he's in about the 11th year of his career, or maybe even more. And it's a situation where he just doesn't have the legs right now at this point in the season.
Oh, Robinson over Malone. He took the ball away on the rebound, put it right back down.
Oh, Ronnie, look at the San Antonio bench. They can't believe what they saw.
He just took that right away from Karl Malone. Now, these two exchanged shoves the last time they met. San Antonio has it. Look at this again.
Well, this happened so fast. It just is like, how can he get up? He doesn't even look. He has a sense of where he is, up and in.
I don't think Karl realized what hit him. Robinson, 18 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 blocks. He's staring a triple-double right in the face. Spurs by 23. That is their biggest margin. And you can honestly say, Dick, it's a team effort tonight.
There's no question. You're John Lucas. You go in at halftime and you see David Robinson has only 9 points. You've got to feel pretty good about what could happen in the second half.
Malone picks up his 3rd.
Let's take another look at this great play by David Robinson. See, he doesn't even look. He just senses where he is. That's what Bill Bradley used to call a sense of where you are.
Well, Stockton comes back in. Jeff Hornacek's going to take a break. That foul was on Malone, his 3rd, sending the Admiral to the line. Score update, Seattle by 11. Gets them both. Fourth in minutes played.
4 triple doubles and 1 quadruple double.
Not bad. Well, he's 5 of 7 from the line, 19 points. The lead's 24. That is the largest. Malone from 16 over Terry Cummings. 30 for Karl Malone. 8 here in the third. We have reached the 3-minute mark. He's only missed 8 of 20 shots. 5 other guys have scored for Utah. Shot clock inside of 10. Anderson over Corbin. Good job boxing out by Jay Humphries. Inside of Malone. Corbin. Robinson got a lot of ball, got a little bit of body, picking up foul number 2.
You know, that was an unbelievable pass by Karl Malone. He caught the ball in low post and didn't even look to it over his shoulder to David Benoit on the other side.
Our score, the Spurs lead it by 22, 7:54, still in the third quarter. A couple of headlines from the first 2 ball games played this evening, seen on either TBS or TNT. How about Byron Scott? What a pickup for Larry Brown, and Kevin Lockery gets the first playoff win against Atlanta in Atlanta. 2 upsets, 2 games. Not bad.
I think Isaiah said it best. You know, it's not what you do in the early part of a playoff game, but what you do in the last 2 minutes of a game. And the experience of having been there is not something that the Orlando Magic have had an opportunity to enjoy. They have never been in the playoffs. This is their first year in the playoffs. A nice season, a very fine season, 50 wins. But the playoffs are a different world.
I think Karl Malone, Dick, is not getting any help at all from his front court teammates as Benoit gets the first.
Well, you said a mouthful there. Ty Corbin, no points. Felton Spencer, 2. Tommy Chambers, 0. And David Benoit in short minutes, 4 points. You know, Jerry Sloan says he wants somebody else to step up. Maybe we'll have to play another game for that to happen.
Well, we had a lane violation, so Benoit will try it again. He missed the second. He'll get another opportunity. I think it was on Terry Cummings.
You don't see that call very often.
No.
Lane violations.
No.
You know why? Because you could call it almost every
time. Yeah, well, didn't get it anyway.
It's I think they just call it to remind the players that the rule exists.
Well, the Spurs have gone to black shoes because David Robinson wanted. They're going to stick with the black shoes, probably game 2, which will be played Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern time right here in the Dome. Oh my, he was behind the backboard.
That's that space maker he uses. He fakes to the middle, tries to get you leaning, and then he backs away and fades, gets himself some space.
Robinson leading the break, tossed into the wrong color jersey. Will come the other way. Benoit, Corbin. Benoit picked up by Cummings, puts the hand up in the face, shot is short, Robinson the loose ball. Inside of 2 minutes, a 23-point San Antonio lead. They've upped it by 10 from their first half margin. Now John Lucas going to his bench chair. Reed will come in. Willie Anderson, the finger roll. Anderson with 15.
That's something that warms John Lucas's heart. Miguel Knight does the penetrating. Willie Anderson takes the dish.
Stockton can't get the jumper to go down. Robinson with the loose ball. Stockton goes hard to the floor. Ellis from the arc. Up over the backboard. Utah has the ball. 25-point advantage, the biggest of the ball game, as J.R. Reed will come in. David Robinson will take a rest. 10 points for Robinson here in the quarter, and his team up by 25. 19 for Robinson, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and we'll throw in 3 blocks for good measure. Still waiting for that MVP vote to come in. All ballots were in on the 22nd. Knight whistled for the foul, his third.
You know, I think every set of broadcasters that have come through the Alamo Dome and they see this guy and they see him live and in person, you walk away saying, hey, he is a legitimate candidate for MVP.
Got a funny feeling, though, it's going to go to the man about 200 miles to the east of here, I think.
Well, you know, it's because there's not a set of criteria that's very clear for what determines who is the MVP. Ron, I believe that the criteria is based on a body of work and not just a single year, almost like the Academy Awards sometimes.
You and I will see a team tomorrow night in Houston. We'll make our way down I-10. Here comes Humphreys. Dale Ellis tied him up. He had the basketball. They're going to call a foul. That'll be Ellis's first personal foul. I thought he had him tied up pretty early on. 15 foul on the Spurs. But we have only 31.8 left in the quarter. Here's Jay Humphreys at the line. First round pick back in '84, 13th overall by Phoenix, where he spent 3 years.
So Jerry Sloan right now has got his most athletic lineup in there. He's got David Benoit along with Jay Humphreys, Ty Corbin, who really can, you know, you'd have to consider he's a small forward or an off guard, even though he's not a perimeter shooter. John Stockton along with Karl Malone. That's not a very big team, but it's his quickest team. He's got to do something. He's got to extend the defense, maybe press after free throws, maybe a little half-court trap, something to get some extra possessions.
Corbin was a second-round pick back in '85 by the San Antonio Spurs. About a 7-second difference between the shot and the game. Knight tries to go through the double team. Ellis pulls the trigger. Oh, you talk about a catch and shoot. That was a clinic.
He had ice water in his veins on that because he was being challenged down low very hard. He ignored it.
Inside shot won't go. Malone puts it in with .5 left in the quarter. What an effort by Karl Malone.
You know, the wonderful thing about Karl Malone, irrespective of the score, he continues to play at the level that he plays at, which is the highest level that he can get from that body. Right now, 32 points and 8 rebounds for Karl Malone. We have a full quarter, 12 more minutes left to go. He's headed for a huge night, Ron.
7-time All-Star. 5 consecutive years on the NBA first team. What a magnificent career for Karl Malone. Ellis won't even get a shot off, but it was a magnificent quarter for the San Antonio Spurs. They started quarter number 3 up by 13. They'll go to the fourth quarter up by 22. Big game for David Robinson as San Antonio is 50-9 when they lead after 3. One of the finest cities in all of Texas, San Antonio, and they've emptied the arena. Nobody is left. But then again, that's the football field on one half of the dome, and the other half, about 20,000 screaming Spurs fans. How about that? You outscore your opponent by 9 in the third quarter. Now it comes down to the fourth and final quarter for the San Antonio Spurs and the Utah Jazz. Now, San Antonio has been outscored 140-98 by the Jazz in their 5 meetings this year. David will start it off on the bench. How important is it for San Antonio to make a quick run here in the first 2 or 3 minutes?
Well, San Antonio knows that Utah has dominated them in the fourth quarter, as you pointed out, Ron, and it's usually the Karl Malone, John Stockton show in the fourth quarter. A lot of high pick and rolls, and that's what I anticipate you're going to see, that Utah is going to go to their 2 stars and try to get themselves back in the game, trying to get back 2 by 2.
You can't get a 22-point play. Nice hustle. Terry Cummings knocks it away from Karl Malone.
Well, you can see that John Lucas and his coaching staff really have done a nice job of trying to prepare their guys for the late cuts by the trailers. The big man, especially Karl Malone of the Utah Jazz. They trail in late, but they've been shadowed.
Corbin, no place to go. Whistle and a foul. That'll be on J.R. Reed. His first. David Robinson comes back in. Dale Ellis will sit down. So now San Antonio going with a big lineup with Ellis, Reed, Cummings, Del Negro, and Knight. Utah countering with Benoit, Corbin, Malone, Stockton, and Humphries. Here's Ty Corbin. First point of the evening. This man is a warrior. Started the last 14 games. 6 minutes to go in the half of that game. 410 consecutive games for Tyrone Corbin. That is the 4th longest streak in the NBA.
Utah is simply going to have to find somebody who can put the ball in the basket. They're 23 out of 57 for 40%, while San Antonio's continued to shoot at the 50% mark, right around 51% right now.
Stockton almost had the steal. Nice job defensively by Stockton. The prayer won't be answered by Miguel Knight.
Oh, it was a bad choice. The shot clock was going down, but there was things that he could have done, like penetrate. There's that bailout pass I was talking about. That time he completed it.
Benoit a little high on the bank. Miguel Knight wanting everybody to get down. Cummings from 17. What a game for Terry Cummings.
You know, there's a situation, the converse of what I was talking about. This time it's Terry Cummings who trails the play. He's not shadowed. He's wide open. They get him a late pass, and he buries the jumper. 16
points, 10 rebounds, 7 of 10 shooting. The fall away, Reed with the rebound. Just that Jazz offense that usually is so methodical just isn't there tonight.
You know, Ron, they've never really gotten into that Lombardi-esque execution. They've just struggled. They've thrown a lot of bailout passes. Not only John Stockton, who's good at it and maybe should be allowed to do it, but I see Jeff Hornacek doing it. Even Jay Humphries is penetrating, getting up in the air and throwing passes. It's resulted in a lot of turnovers. I guarantee you when Jerry Sloan and the staff go over the film, that's one of the things they're going to point out. They're going to say, guys, come on. You're penetrating, jumping up in the air, and at the last second trying to find somebody to complete a pass to.
Milton Spencer in guarding David Robinson. Karl Malone takes a seat. David Robinson, as Ernie Johnson would say, beating them like a wreck car.
Well, here he comes is what I have to say. And he's coming on big time. He's got the whole package, and I think we're going to see a lot of it in this 4th quarter.
John Stockton tackled for a 3-yard loss. That foul will be on Miguel Knight. We've got a timeout. 9:50 left in the ball game. A 24-point San Antonio lead. And here's tonight's Dutch boy in the paint. Teammates back in San Diego, Cummings and Chambers combined for 41 when they were there. How about 16 tonight with Terry getting all 16 in the center comparison? Well, David Robinson winning it handily. Well, you think about what this team would be with that big man. The gentle giant, Mark Eaton, on the injured list the entire season with back problems. He told me today his back hurts just sitting there, and that's very sad because we probably will never see Mark Eaton play another game in the NBA again.
Second leading shot blocker in the history of the NBA.
One of the nicest guys you will ever want to meet.
I used to love that child abuse ad he used to do. I mean, that was one of the most moving things I've ever seen. He was so sincere about it.
Spencer inside, only his 2nd field goal, his 1st since the 2nd quarter.
That man, Felton Spencer, in the last regular season meeting between these two teams had 22 points, and that was his 4th point tonight.
Remember Mark Eaton walking around Tokyo with him. When they were there over at the beginning of the regular season a few years ago. What a sight that was. 7'4", but here comes Stockton. Oh, nice play, David Benoit. Benoit with 7 points. The lead is down to 20. San Antonio has to be careful. We're talking the break. There's a lot of time left.
Well, we both have seen enough NBA games that we know that when you are playing teams of the caliber that the San Antonio Spurs are playing, you can never let up mentally. That's why 10-point leads mean absolutely nothing. And really, when you're talking about a 12-minute time frame, sometimes 20 points is not that significant. Because if you let up mentally, that other team will find a way to get back in the game.
Robinson from the outside. J.R. Reed, nice job keeping the ball alive. Lucas says, let's hold it up. One thing on the positive side for San Antonio is Utah not known for their three-pointers. They're only averaging about 6 a game, and they're 21st in the league in percentage. They're 2 of 8 tonight. Reed with 5 on the shot clock. Knight from 20. Reed again hustling, keeping it alive. Nice job by J.R. Reed.
That is so discouraging to see this many possessions
And then a foul. The #1 offensive rebounding team in the NBA, the San Antonio Spurs. They were 27th in the league last year. That foul was on Ty Corbin.
You know, it might be misleading when you talk about them being the #1 offensive rebounding team in the league, because Dennis Rodman gets so many offensive rebounds, kind of like Moses Malone used to kind of like put it up, get it back, put it up, get it back. Dennis gets a lot of those. But that last flurry of offensive rebounding was shared offensive rebounding. The whole team was active. They had 4 straight possessions. Jerry Sloan beside himself over there. Coaches hate to see that. You know, when you're down in a game like this, the only way you can get back in it is to get stops and go to the other end and execute well and get good looks at the basket.
Robinson 7 of 9 from the line. They wanted to keep Karl Malone off the line. Shot won't go. Reed again. Oh, he took an elbow to John Stockton's head. Boy, I'm surprised Johnny didn't go nuts on that.
Yeah,
he's licking the shot. Malone's only been to the line 8 times tonight. Boy, I tell you, John Stockton has got this one tough hombre. Inside, Cummings with the jam. 18 points for Terry Cummings, 4 off his season high of 22. The lead is 24 points. Boy, I tell you what, we're going nuts down there. Stockton and David Robinson getting tangled up, and here we go. Well, Dennis Rodman just got fined for coming off the bench. Ron Ford is in attendance.
Well, you knew this was coming. When Stockton got the shot in the chops, in the chin, there was no call. Take a look at this. You had Jerry
Technical foul just called. Somebody's been tossed, and I think it's Jerry Sloan.
Well, he's incensed. He's frustrated because his guy that he depends on, John Stockton, took a terrible shot to the chin. Let's take a look at it. This is why he's upset, why he's leaving. The miss by Jeff Hornacek. A scramble for the rebound inside. Stockton comes in, and right there. Wow. No call, nothing. And that upsets coaches, and rightfully so.
Well, John Stockton is over there arguing his case. Needless to say, to clear things up, Jerry Sloan immediately got off the bench after the little fracas we had underneath. It started with John Stockton and David Robinson apparently just getting basically tied up. A little pushing and shoving. Let's look what happened on that last play. But Jerry Sloan has been ejected.
Well, Stockton sets the screen. David Robinson grabs him, tries to throw him away, then tries to fake like there was a charge. Now Reed comes in to defend his guy. Now Jerry Sloan, Bill Johnson, et al. And the rest is history. Jerry Sloan is gone. A technical has been called.
Also a technical is called on John Stockton. And Vinny Del Negro shot the technical and missed it.
Well, I hate to say it, but when Jerry Sloan talks to his team, he will have an Alamo to remember.
Well, now they're saying that Jerry Sloan was the only one with the technical. The PA announcer did say it was John Stockton. Former head coach in the NBA, Phil Johnson, longtime assistant for Jerry, now takes over.
Well, that's no strange position for Phil Johnson.
No.
An excellent head coach in his own right.
Boy, I cannot believe that shot that Stockton took. But now they got another
one from Knight there.
Getting a little physical here in the final 7.5 minutes. As we mentioned, the last time these two teams met, it was Robinson and Malone squaring off. Robinson.
See, Ron Thulin, there's no answer for that. David Robinson getting the ball at the right elbow, a little fake to freeze his defender, and just skies over his defender and shoots the jumper.
25 for Robinson. The lead is 26. They turn the ball over again. The Utah Jazz, 20 turnovers in the ball game. San Antonio, just 8. Antoine Carr comes in, and that may be the end of David Robinson tonight. Robinson's going to sit down with 25 points, 8 rebounds, add 3 blocks to that, and 7 assists.
Well, very seldom at the 7-minute mark in the playoffs in the NBA in the first round do you say, I don't think the other team's going to come back. But let's stick around and see what happens.
Crowd chanting MVP. Miguel Knight takes a forearm from Karl Malone and ends up in the stands. Boy, Karl Malone just took a wicked forearm after Miguel Knight shot that basketball. Whistle and a foul. Daryl Garrettson says, Jeff Hornacek, you're guilty. His first. Come on, he's a new dad. Give him a break. We've got a timeout. 6:29 left to be played in the ball game, and it's all San Antonio. Well, the Spurs lead at 92-66 with 6:29 left in the ball game. Tomorrow night, another doubleheader coming your way on TBS. We've got New Jersey in New York with Bob Neal and Doug Collins. We'll follow that up with the Portland Trail Blazers and the Houston Rockets. Western Conference first round game. Dick and I will be down in the Summit in Houston for that ball game. Ours all starting at 7 o'clock Eastern time. And don't forget the game's on TNT at 8 o'clock Eastern time. How about Karl Malone? 33 points tonight. The rest of the team, 33 points. Where's that step-up guy Jerry Sloan talked about?
He's not around tonight, but see, I think that Phil Johnson, maybe under the direction from Jerry Sloan, made a smart move. They got John Crotty in the game. John Stockton was very frustrated. He got a couple of shots. He was going to try to make up for it. They need him. They got him on the bench. Get him ready for the next game.
Whistle and a foul given by everybody.
I don't think you're going to see John Stockton the rest of the night.
Rodman picks up his third. I don't think so either. Coming into the lineup now, Brian Russell, the rookie out of Long Beach State, a second-round pick. Seattle all over Denver by 23 in the second. We'll keep you posted on that. It's going on TNT in case you want to flip the dial. Russell, a hard-nosed player. 67 games this year for the Jazz. Started 48 of them.
You know, he kind of leveled out. He had a great start to the season. They thought they had a fine, but you know how the NBA schedule can really level things out and even it out, and he kind of reduced himself to what he really is, and that's probably going to be a backup role for him most of his career. He is a fine athlete and a good competitor. Played at Long Beach State.
Foul was on Reed. That's his second.
Oh, it's rough inside.
Boy, I'll tell you what, there's bodies everywhere.
There's a lot of frustration on the Utah Jazz ball club right now.
Reed picks up his third.
It might not be a bad idea to get Karl Malone out of there. I don't know. Throw someone else in. But he's a proud warrior. He doesn't want to come out of the game.
It's like Rodman. And here is Karl Malone at the line. Utah's all-time scorer and rebounder. 33 points tonight.
Ron, let me ask you this. If we would have talked before this game, and I would have said to you, okay, you've got these two guards, John Stockton, Jeff Hornacek, two pretty good country basketball players. And I would say to you, one's going to be 3 for 10 with 6 minutes left in the game, and one's going to be 1 for 4 with 6 minutes left in the game. You would not have believed me.
No, not a bit. John Stockton hasn't scored since the second quarter, and either has Jeff Hornacek. With the third quarter scoreless. Here's the big dog. He said he wants to take a bite out of the mailman. Outside, Miguel Knight. And there's Rodman getting into it. Dennis leading the NBA in technicals and ejections. Let's see. Did they give him a technical? Flagrant foul, penalty 1 on Dennis Rodman, who cannot believe it. Flagrant foul, penalty 1. It's a little excessive force.
So you got to have a teammate step in here now.
Yeah.
You got to get Big Twan over there or somebody like that. That's it.
That's a get in his face because they need him Saturday. And there's Lucas now bringing him over, and Luke is going to put him on the side of the bench and pushing him off.
This reminds me of my high school coaching days. That's how we used to do it. But Dennis is such a competitor. He'll take it. Now watch this. We said it was getting rough inside. Now there's Byron Russell and Dennis Rodman. Then Dennis comes after him, and Russell thought he was going to get hit. I don't know if Dennis was going to hit him. He was just kind of frustrated. And now he's even more frustrated.
Well, Russell gets hit with the tee. 1, 2, 3 technicals already.
Now, how about this? See, Dennis did not realize it was his coach, John Lucas, that was grabbing him. He's frustrated. You know, when you get mad, you just don't think. And all of a sudden, it's Luke and Dennis going at it.
Well,
Luke prevails.
Dennis Rodman, believe it or not, is not a bad guy. He wears his heart on his sleeve, unfortunately. And John Lucas told me about a week ago, he says, you know, he goes, I enjoy coaching Dennis Rodman. He goes, I like coaching Dennis Rodman, and he likes Dennis Rodman.
Well, I coached him for 2.5 years as an assistant coach with Detroit, and I liked coaching him.
Oh, yeah.
He was a little bit different player when we had him. He used to express himself a little more offensively. I think when you ask a player or a player's game evolves into total unselfishness, never getting involved in what players call the sugar of the game, that's the ability to get some baskets, I think you're going to have a shorter view because he's always out there doing all the dirty work and never gets any sugar. When he played in Detroit, he used to score a little more.
John Crotty tries a little give and go and came and went. 5:21, the Spurs a comfortable 25-point advantage. They have won 5 of 8 playoff series in which they have won the first game of that series. And it looks like they're going to win the first game in this one. The Jazz have not made it out of the first round 5 of 10 times. Spurs have never made it out of the second round. Crotty, Banks close, Del Negro the rebound. What a nice game Vinny Del Negro played.
He really has, Ron. Nice outlet pass that time.
Sweet P doesn't get it. Spencer the rebound. I got a feeling we won't see David Robinson again. Little give and go. Crotty can't get it to go, but he does draw the whistle. J.R. Reed picks up his 4th. You know, Dick, it's very important to win that opening game, and history tells you that.
Oh, you know, that is so true. When you look at this, this is eye-opening. Teams that win the opener have won 68 out of 80 games. Now you look at the team with the home court advantage, and they've won 79 out of 108. So, yes, it's very, very important to get out of the blocks well.
Well, John Crotty hits them both. The lead cut to 23 as Vinny Del Negro went and took a seat. Excellent job tonight. 12 points, 5 assists, only 2 turnovers. Once again, these two teams play again Saturday afternoon, 1 o'clock Eastern time. NBC will have that game. Offensive rebound.
Sweet Pea playground passes that made him the legend that he was before he wandered out to Vegas.
Outside, Sleepy Floyd checks into the lineup, hits his first jumper of the game. John Lucas told us today he felt his team was prepared after 3 days in San Marcos. He felt they really came together.
See, I think those kinds of things are really smart to do. You can underestimate the value of esprit de corps on a basketball team, especially at the NBA level, because of contracts and money and business and professionalism. But the bottom line is these guys used to play for nothing. They played for the love. They still play for the love of the game. And the esprit de corps on a basketball team is extremely important. It was a good move by John to get them together. I liked what he said. No cars, just buses.
Now here comes Jack Haley checking into the lineup, and the round of applause you hear is for J.R. Reed and also for Jack Haley, who's become a crowd favorite. And I know Doug Collins is sitting probably at Jocks and Jill's in Atlanta. Doug, get the stopwatch. We have a running joke how long it takes Jack Haley to get off his first shot. And all those people at Captain Jack's and the beach in California where his family has a little restaurant.
Well, they really like Jack here. You know, he's a very positive guy. He's a big cheerleader on the bench. Great guy to have on the bench. You know, and he shoots the ball pretty well from the perimeter, although he's only taken 17 shots.
But Walter Bond steals it away from Sleepy Floyd. Sleepy will be whistled for the foul, his first personal foul.
I was curious to see that Sleepy Floyd is in the record books. He is the 10th best three-point field goal percentage shooter in NBA playoff history. I was a little surprised to see that.
Antoine Carr was number 2 in field goal percentage for the playoffs.
Yes, he is. And Hornacek is number 4 in free throw percentage. So we have some guys here, and Karl Malone, of course, scoring in playoffs. How about this 27.3 average, and he'll beat that tonight.
Walter Bond at the line. Last year played for the Dallas Mavericks. Started a lot of games for him. Stephen Howard puts it in, spent most of his time in Europe. Back with the Jazz, played with them last year. Only played in 9 games this season with Utah.
Yeah, he was a very bright student at DePaul University and kind of worked his way into the NBA, an undrafted player.
For those of you just joining us from the TNT game, we'd like to tell you it's 97-76. Inside of 3.5, Jerry Sloan, the Utah coach, has been ejected from the ball game after a little scuffle underneath the basket. But it has been all San Antonio since they really gained control in the 3rd quarter. They led 82-60 after 3. And they are 3 points away from hitting the century mark. And the San Antonio club is 50-9 when they lead after 3, and 26-2 when they go over 100 at home. The look of Stockton. Haley. The turnaround didn't take him long to take his first shot. Only 43 seconds, Doug Collins, for Jack to take his shot. Got Crotty with the left hand, won't go. Loose ball foul. That'll be on Haley. So his name's in the book. His first. The winner of this takes on Seattle, Denver, and right now, my goodness.
Now, that's no surprise to me. Denver playing in the playoffs with a team that has very little playoff experience. Yes, Dikembe Mutombo is a force inside. He can change games, but not against Seattle. Seattle really believes in themselves, Ron. They really believe that they can win it. I had a chance to do the Western Conference playoffs last year for NBA Radio, and I watched Seattle for 7 straight games. And I want to tell you something. They were an eyelash away from being the representative out west. They had a 7th game where they had to watch Phoenix shoot 50 free throws in that game. It was very frustrating for them. Most of the fouls were legit, though.
Well, speaking of frustrating, it's frustrating for that man. He trails with 3:01 left. 97-78, 3:01 left in the game from the Alamo Dome. Dick Versace and Ron Thulin with you. And Jerry Sloan, the head coach of the Utah Jazz, has been tossed for those of you just joining us. And this is what really led up to it. John Stockton taking an elbow to the side of the head.
Well, see, officials have so many things to watch out for. They will miss some things that coaches don't miss because that's your guy. That's your key guy, John Stockton. That inflamed Jerry Sloan. He ended up running out on the court, protecting his guy, which a coach should do, and now he's having a beer in a locker room right now.
Right. 6 turnovers, 8 assists for John Stockton, and 3 points. Spurs have been in the playoffs 15 of the 18 years they've been in the NBA. Utah playoffs the last 11 seasons. Antoine Karl, whistle and a foul. These players now just try not to get hurt.
Well, you know, Antoine Karl is one of the most likable players in the NBA. He has this look about him that you think he's the meanest guy in the world, and just the opposite is true. He's the nicest guy in the world. He has a love of music. He has a music business where he produces acts. He also designs clothes. I spent 10 days with him over in Italy one summer, and we spent time going to clothing stores, I mean, cloth stores, you know, just looking at bolts of cloth. And I said, Twan, can't we play a game of horse or something? I don't want to look at bolts of cloth.
Sounds like Kevin Willis has his line of sportswear out in Atlanta. Black and white. Russell has it rejected. Haley with the rebound. Spurs looking to crack the century mark inside of 2:20. Big night here on TNT and TBS. The multiplex, they're calling it. Calling a lot of games. 4 on the shot clock. Haley inside for his first 2. And the crowd loves it.
Yeah, and he gives the wave, the double wave. Like he just won the 100-meter dash.
He's the ML Carr. Russell to Howard. Inside of 10. Howard gets the basket to go, and he draws the foul. Carr picks up the foul. Jack Haley.
Well, here's Jack Haley going down the lane, taking a little bit of a hit from Byron Russell, but still getting the basket. And hey, come on, I did it. Look, thank you, here I am.
Utah's all-time playoff low is 80 points. They just matched it, and they just broke it. Jack Haley, the sixth-year pro out of UCLA. Originally a fourth-round pick in 1987. Played for Magic Johnson's All-Stars earlier this year. Signed out with the team back in December. Shot clock at 5. C.J. Floyd just running things out. Shot clock at 3. Antoine gets to lower his field goal percentage. Thank you, Sleepy, for that pass. Always want the ball with 2 seconds left.
I got a kick out of that. Gets a chance to lower his field goal.
Yeah, I did the Hawks back in Mike Fratello's last year. That was the big joke. Is
I see.
Dominique could pass it up with 2 seconds left all the time, and somebody else lowered their field goal percentage. 101-83. 1 minute left to be played in the ball game.
It's up.
And Jack Haley will go to the line.
And a little trash talking.
Trash talking there to David Benoit.
Well, Jack Haley's giving us the whole package tonight. The double hand salute, wave celebration, little finger roll down the lane, some good cheerleading on the bench, and now he adds a little trash talking. That man, John Lucas, got a kick out of it. They like Jack.
He's unbelievable. John Lucas, the first-round pick of the NBA back in 1976 out of Maryland. What a job he has done since taking over for Jerry Tarkanian back on December 18th of '92.
Well, because this is not a classic team, Ron.
Oh, not in any sense of the imagination.
In all my years in the league, and I looked at different coaches, I always thought the guy that was the best, there's Dennis Rodman contemplating things. But the coach that was the best at just taking a group of guys, whether they fit together or not, and making it work was Chuck Daly. I really admire the job that John Lucas has done, because this is not a classic team by any stretch of the imagination. They don't have a first-run point guard, but they've gotten the job done by some clever design with what they do offensively, namely bringing David Robinson out and playing kind of a point center.
Been successful at it. And he's accepted every personality. Haley, the putback won't go. Jack, you missed a bunny shot. Oh, Utah never led the game. They tied it up at 2. Spurs ran off 10 straight points to go ahead 12-2. They've never looked back. Knight around Friday for the 2. Miguel Knight. Knight with 9 points, and that's just going to put this one in the books, folks. San Antonio will go up 1-0 in the best-of-5 series between these two teams. Game 2 Saturday afternoon right here in the Dome. Friday nails the 3. 46% on the year, and Antoine Carr really doesn't have to take it across the timeline. Haley sprinting down the court, wanting the ball. To Haley, puts the final 2 in. That basket will count. Jack Haley doubles his season average tonight as the San Antonio Spurs, very impressive as they win it 106-89. What a game, though, for Terry Cummings. And tonight's Budweiser